Okay, am I the only person alive that cannot wait until these people slink back into the gutter that they crawled out of? Welcome everybody to Getting to Know SirJamesDDJ, Volume 3. Now in case you may have forgotten, the way to submit some questions to me, which you'd like me to answer, is you can preferably go to my website, which is SirJamesD.com. And in the forums, there's a Ask SirJamesDDJ something section. And then submit the question in there. Or I suppose you could send me a PM on YouTube, but the first way is how I'll get it definitely quicker. So I've got 5 questions, and I'll be answering them one at a time. And once again, this series is just so you all get a chance to get to know me a little bit better. You know, I can't just be the guy behind the camera all the time. You know, give you a little sneak peek into who I am and what makes me, well, me. So, okay, let's get on. Okay, question number 1. How did you build your website, and was it free? Well, originally I built SirJamesD.com myself, of course, using HTML. And for that I utilized Adobe Dreamweaver, first 4 and then 5. I never got into 5.5. And that became extremely tedious. Okay, you're talking about div tags all over the place. You got boxes where you've got to put the embeds in, you know, whether it be JPEGs or videos. And then if you got Google AdSense, you have to move the padding around, and it took a lot of time, okay? And it was a good thing to learn, definitely. Learning HTML code is a plus, okay? And, you know, it was great for a while as a beginner to get into that. But after a while, I started to think, you know, I've got more things I can do with my time. So then I thought about, you know, should I go into Joomla? Should I try Drupal? Not RuPaul, Drupal. Or should I go into WordPress? And I decided on WordPress because it's free. I think some of those other ones might be free as well, but I know vBulletin is not. Okay, you have to pay a fee. I think it's a couple $100 a year in order to keep vBulletin going. And I decided on WordPress because also the plugins are tremendous, and the themes and everything. You don't have to worry about padding, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And frankly, the page rank on Alexa has reflected just how clean it's become. You know, I think it's in the top 100,000 in the US now, SirJamesD.com is. And your question, was it free? Yes, WordPress is free. Adobe Dreamweaver is not free if you buy it. So there's your question answered for that one. Okay, now this next question is sure to be rather touchy, so I won't delve terribly deep into it, but I'll go over a few specifics. And the question is, how do you lean politically, left or right? Well, there's definitely going to be people that disagree with me no matter what I say, and I genuinely respect them. For years, I had been a staunch Republican. Right down the line, agreed with everything they said. You know, Bush and Cheney, and let's kill the evil Al-Qaeda, and weapons mass destruction, all that mantra. And during my teen years, I had been pretty much a liberal. Although, who can really remember back that far? You know, I was probably influenced by professors at that point. And then over the past year or so, I wouldn't really label myself such, but I've become more of a libertarian. And again, I try not to label myself, but my view is that government has gotten in the way, in a big way, okay? I believe we should get more to a constitution-based form of government. So yeah, about a year ago, I was just browsing around, you know, content with where I was, being a sheep, and I came across Alex Jones. Now, what I'll say immediately is don't take everything somebody has to say as gospel. Okay? That includes me, that includes Alex Jones, that especially includes Glenn Beck. Okay? Do your own research, look up whatever they say, don't take it as gospel. Okay? So I came across Alex Jones and a film he made entitled Endgame: Blueprint for Global Enslavement. And upon viewing this film, I was shocked with, just it seemed like I had been lied to about everything. And, it wasn't just I watched the film and then believed everything. I mean, I did days of research afterwards, okay, and was basically in a fog for about a week with, I researched 9/11, films like In Plain Sight, Loose Change, things like that. And then realizing how that pretty much led us to all these wars we'll never get out of. And how it's really not even about freedom for people. It's about oil, it's about poppy, it's about global power. And before you say, oh, James, man, you're crazy, you've lost it, how many drugs are you on? Okay, look at how many of your rights have been taken away over the past 10 years. Look at how the dollar has been devalued to where it's basically worth toilet paper. And the funny thing is, about 17 years ago, as an 8th grader going into high school, I had come across information basically predicting all of this would happen, just as it has, with the global government, New World Order stuff, basically controlled by a group of families that are tied in with the Bilderberg group. And it really is shocking to me because I thought it was crackpot stuff. And it's all happening just as I had heard all that time ago. So what I'll just pretty much offer to you is to do your own research. You can start out by going to websites like Infowars.com. And also, just Google it up yourself. Take everything I've said and research it yourself. Again, don't take it as gospel. But I respect your views, and I hope you indeed respect mine. Okay, once again, this next question is going to be sort of touchy. What religion are you? And I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ is my personal Savior, and I have no apologies for that. I don't believe I should be ashamed of it in any way. I know in modern day America it may be somewhat taboo, and I know some of my videos I do things like swear, well, I'm not a saint, okay? And God knows this, that I'm not a perfect person, okay? But my sins were paid for because of Jesus dying on the cross. Okay, that's my personal belief. It's what the question asks. And I have no discrimination towards other religions. Okay, that's obviously not what was taught by Jesus, to somehow look down on others. Okay, because that is the thing I can't stand about some Christians. I also can't stand the idiots that stand out in front of concerts and hand out like I don't even know what they're called, the little booklets. It's just like, at some point you gotta think about what would be counterproductive, and that is counterproductive. Okay, if you want to witness to somebody, be their friend, learn about them, and then if the point comes up to maybe talk about it, then do that. But I still listen to metal. I still take a drink now and then, although it's nowhere near like it used to be, where I'd go out twice a weekend and get smashed into oblivion. But, water into wine. It's not against every law imaginable to have a drink every now and then. And I'm also not one of those people where I think I'm superior to others because of my faith. Okay? There is no surefire way to get people away from your beliefs than to give the impression that you think you're better than them. In fact, the opposite should be true. look how many times in the Bible it talks about you hypocrites. That's all to do with people that think they are superior. You have compassion for other people. You view others as your brothers and sisters here on earth. You believe Jesus Christ is your personal Savior and that He died for you on the cross. To me, that is a terrific starting point for being a Christian. Okay, question number 4. Were you blacklisted by companies? Well, SirJamesD Tech has slowed down just a little bit, even though the subscribers have gone up pretty darn high in my estimation over the past year. I won't definitively say I've been blacklisted, but I do have a couple theories. One, companies think that I just suck, okay, which could very well be, and there's really nothing I can do about that, okay? I am who I am. The second is there comes a price to pay for being too honest, okay? Some reviewers out there will not talk about any negatives of a product, just give it a kick butt rating, or, you know, just talk about all the positives. Not me, okay? I'd talk about everything I thought was positive, everything I thought was negative, okay? And whether companies like that or not, that was on them. That was never the point of SirJamesD Tech, was to try to impress companies. It was all about giving you, the consumer, or potential consumer, an honest opinion about a product. But I always felt I was doing companies a favor in providing both positive and negative feedback, because I thought it would give them a gauge as to where they could improve their lineup and also possibly keep things the way they are so that they don't fix what's not broken. But if some companies viewed it as they were losing face because, hey, this reviewer, you know, took things a bit too far or doesn't know what he's talking about, and we've somehow, you know, lost reputation in the community, well, there's nothing really I can do about that. I am who I am. I stayed true to myself, and again, we never know what the future will hold. Okay, the last question. Why the bodybuilding.com shirts when you aren't very big? Okay. Alright, well, that's me now. Okay? There was a time when I was pretty much only into lifting. Okay? I'm kind of an obsessive compulsive person. You know, when I was younger it was basketball. Everything was basketball. And then I got into weightlifting and it was all weightlifting. And then obviously lately it's been the computer stuff. And I kind of view it as keeping up with my roots. You know what I'm saying? I never did steroids, as I mentioned in a previous video. But, you know, I took a lot of stuff, okay? And I'm off of all that now. And I'm more natural. You know, I eat a nice breakfast, 4 to 5 meals a day. And pretty much this is where I think I will be for the rest of my life unless something drastic happens, you know, right around the 200-pound range. So that's basically why, is at one time I was more into the bodybuilding than I am now, but I still wear the shirts because I still do work out, believe it or not. And, you know, it's good gym wear, but sometimes, you know, I like to still give a little bit of, you know, hey, I hate the words props. I still like to give props to my past. Still hate that. That and back in the day are the two things I hate the most. But that's why. Okay? I still wear bodybuilding.com shirts. So thank you for watching. And please follow the instructions at the beginning of this video in order to be able to submit a question to me that I'll use in Getting to Know SirJamesDDJ Volume 4. And also please remember to subscribe to SirJamesDDJ, SirJamesD Tech, and also come on over to SirJamesD.com. Talk later.